Hey folks, Dr. Hagmeyer here, and today I want to give you some insider tips on how to jumpstart your thyroid gland when you have Hashimoto's disease. Now, I began working with a patient who lives in Europe, and we had our first 10-week progress update, and while we've exchanged many emails in that 10-week period of time, it was about 8 weeks since we've actually last spoke on the phone. And just to give you a little background history on her, here's a young woman, virtually at the end of her rope. She's been diagnosed with autoimmune thyroid disease several years ago. Daily anxiety, daily depression, debilitating fatigue, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, brain fog, and a feeling of extreme weakness all throughout her body. In fact, just walking upstairs would cause shortness of breath and a feeling that she had to sit down. Now, here's why I just absolutely love doing what I do. Because when I got on the phone with this young girl, I can't even begin to tell you that the enthusiasm that was in this woman's voice when we got on the phone. And this was a woman who had just a renewed sense of purpose. She was a woman who was much more confident on the phone. She was asking me, in fact, if now would be a good time to get pregnant, because she was feeling so much better. And there was a level of confidence, like I said, that this young woman did not have when we had spoke previously. Now, the symptoms that she was so excited to share with me was basically all cognitive issues. You know, in other words, she wasn't experiencing brain fog the way she was. Her depression was almost gone. Her anxiety was virtually gone. And again, some of the things that she had was just more energy and just feeling so much better, about herself. And so, being diagnosed with Hashimoto's can be very difficult to mentally process, right? But learning more about the disease and the effective ways to manage and the interconnection that the disease has to other parts of your body is so important to dive into and understand, because that's what's going to help you jumpstart into a new, healthier lifestyle. In other words, you have to have a plan, okay? It's very, very important when you have any kind of chronic health problems, having a plan. Now, one of the questions that I'm often asked by people, I get emails and Facebook and so forth, and one of the questions I'm often asked is, can you cure Hashimoto's? And the answer to that you're not going to like. And here's what you need to understand. Hashimoto's, first off, is genetic. Okay, this is why if you have it, chances are your mother has it, your sister has it, your children might be in the early stages of developing the disease as well. Okay, so you need to be very vigilant about these symptoms, which can really swing from hyperthyroid to hypothyroid in the earlier stages of Hashimoto's disease. It's not uncommon to have bouts of hyperthyroidism, and as the immune system begins to very effectively target and destroy the thyroid gland, eventually you become permanently hypothyroid, okay? So the three main factors influencing the symptoms of Hashimoto's are genetics, lifestyle, and environment. And unfortunately, you never hear much about what you can do from a lifestyle standpoint and the environmental factors that you can change to affect your disease. So again, while genetics may be predetermined, meaning that you have no control over those, the other factors like lifestyle and environment is where you can have the greatest impact on changing the course of this disease. Now, again, these are things you have a lot of control over, and it's these things that if you work with someone like myself, someone who looks at the big picture, someone who's going to identify the individual triggers in your case, and then correct those and reduce those triggers in the proper sequence, you can have an amazing impact on the quality of your life. Okay, so you don't need to necessarily just take my word for it. Just listen to all the testimonials of people who have reclaimed their health using functional medicine. Not just on my website, but other doctors around the world who also implement functional medicine. So let's jump into some of the things that you really can start doing today, because I really believe that no matter where you are in this disease interim, okay, or interval, there's so much that you can do to start changing it and reversing it. And what we're going to talk about today are some of the things you can start to reboot your thyroid. Now, one of the most fundamental approaches to rebooting your thyroid begins with what you're eating and what you're putting into your body. Okay, remember this: jet engines need jet fuel. And I want you to start taking care of your body like it's a jet engine. Okay, certain foods, and I will go on to even say some of the medications that you might be taking every day will aggravate the thyroid and can intensify symptoms. And I'll explain why in just a minute. But knowing which foods to avoid is really the first strategy for proactively defending your thyroid from further autoimmune damage. Okay, so the first food I want to talk to you about, unfortunately, is one you're probably not going to want to give up, but study after study shows just how damaging this food is, and it's gluten. Okay, and basically, interesting thing about gluten is your thyroid tissue is very similar in structure. In other words, it mirrors the proteins that are found in gluten. And when gluten is consumed, your body goes into this autoimmune mode and intensifies its attack on the thyroid. So again, completely eliminating gluten is a must for everyone with Hashimoto's. Now, gluten is not only found in the foods you might be eating regularly, but it may be in your cosmetics. Okay, so something to consider as well is it could be in the daily things that you're putting on your body. Okay, so if you go to my website, you can download a report that has that's titled Hidden Sources of Gluten. If you just go to my website in the search bar, you type in Hidden Sources of Gluten, it's about a 4 or 5 page handout that I give to all my Hashimoto's patients, and I want to make that available to you, okay? So I'll also put that information on the screen in the description of this video. The next food you need to eliminate is, if you guessed, the next one that's sometimes probably the hardest one to give up, and this one can really beat up your immune system in a big way. Some studies show, in fact, that this food, sugar, even a tablespoon of it, can suppress the immune system for up to 24 hours. Okay, so again, eating sugar suppresses your immune system. Okay, and we do not want to suppress the immune system if we already know that we have an autoimmune disease. Okay, so again, reduce the sugar intake by eliminating any added sugars in your diet. Most often, many of these sugars are found in highly processed foods. I want you to start reading labels and determine how much sugar is contained in each serving. The next thing is that sugar can be disguised under dozens of different names. So learn what to look for and make the swap for a more natural alternative. Often a seemingly healthy snack, let's say blueberry yogurt, can be loaded with a surprising amount of added sugar. So instead, choose, say, plain yogurt and add your own serving of berries and strawberries and blueberries and things like that. That's a great way of bypassing all that additional sugar that many manufacturers and food companies really, put into their products. Now, when it comes to natural sugars, things like fruit sugar, I want you to try to pair that with a source of protein. And the reason why that's important, or even fiber for that matter, because the very nature of fruit is to basically cause your glucose levels or your blood sugar levels to go up very quickly. And that's really what we don't want to do in the case of the immune system and in cases of thyroid disturbances. The next item on the chopping block is caffeine. Okay, people who sell coffee on the internet will likely send me hate mail on this one, but caffeine increases adrenaline, it increases your cortisol levels, and this can send out more of a stress signal, which in turn interferes with thyroid function. We know that cortisol is and the stress response is one of those things that is very, very damaging to the immune system over a prolonged period of time. So again, caffeine, it's often accompanied by an unhealthy dose of sugar, usually at the bottom of that coffee cup. So again, just avoid caffeine to help ease the stress on your thyroid gland. Now that you know what to avoid, try incorporating foods that are high in vitamins and nutrients that are specific to jump-starting your thyroid. Make an effort to increase your vegetable consumption and prioritize natural sources of protein with every meal. This is so very important, okay? Here's why. Protein synthesis is an essential to tissue repair and growth, as well as providing various enzymes that are needed to break down foods. Now, I don't get too hung up on the amount of grams you should be eating from a standpoint of protein, but one of the things I would stress, and I stress with my patients, is that you need to have protein and fats at every meal. That's so very important. Okay, now if you think about it too, coming back to the purpose of proteins, proteins are the building blocks for new tissues. They help our bodies repair. And what's happening in an autoimmune attack where the immune system is attacking itself? It's typically attacking proteins, it's attacking glands, it's attacking muscles, it's attacking tissues of our body. So we really want to up our protein to help support that repair process, okay? Some things to consider when it comes to the meat that you purchase, okay, is always look for free range and grass-fed meat. Very, very important. If you're looking for fish, if you're a big fish eater, which I'm not, I would suggest that you look and you search out wild-caught fish, okay, as opposed to farm-raised fish. Many fish that are on the market, especially tilapia, this is a farm-raised fish. In fact, I just read an article, I want to say last week, that talked about over 90% of all tilapia here in the United States comes from farms, fish farms, okay? So you want to avoid those. Now again, by providing your body with this good, healthy meat, and protein, this is going to help fuel your body much better than grain-fed or farm-raised fish. Now, one of the tests that I think every person with Hashimoto should have done is what's called a food sensitivity test. Okay, you may not have an allergy where you go into, let's say, a full-fledged anaphylactic reaction where you can't breathe and your throat closes up and you now need to shoot yourself up with an EpiPen, but rather a food sensitivity test can reveal many immune system triggers that can have an adverse reaction within our immune system that you may not be aware of. Okay, so again, many of these food sensitivities, when we talk about food-based reactions with the immune system, we're really talking about what are known as delayed immune reactivity. So in other words, you eat this food and you may not know that you have a problem with it because the effects of that food may not show up for a couple days. So it continues to perpetuate this low-grade inflammatory response in your body, which you're really ultimately trying to quell. Now, if you visit my website, I have a lot of information on food sensitivity testing and topics about that, so I won't get too much into that. But again, I would direct you and gear and guide you to looking on my website. Jumpstarting your thyroid also means making sure that your thyroid is getting the vitamins it needs in order to carry out its cellular functions. Okay, now when it comes to vitamins, the vitamins that are especially important are, of course, number one is selenium. Okay, selenium is needed in order to convert T4 into T3. Okay, now this is super important because many men and women, it's low T3 or thyroid underconversion that causes people to have all these low thyroid symptoms of brain fog and weight gain and pain and fatigue and feeling cold all the time. All of those low thyroid symptoms that you're used to hearing about, that's typically coming from low T3. The second vitamin that's extremely important are your B vitamins, especially vitamins B6, B9, and B12. Okay. Now I've done several videos about B vitamins and Hashimoto's, but it's your B vitamins that help regulate inflammation. And for people with Hashimoto's, you have an inflammatory immune system that's gone awry in your body. And often on blood work, you'll often see something known as homocysteine levels. And again, very often B vitamins are important because of something known as an MTHFR mutation. And if you have any kind of autoimmune problem, or you have Hashimoto's disease, I strongly encourage you to be tested for MTHFR. It's one of the things that we do almost routinely on every patient that comes into our office, just because we know that a person with an MTHFR mutation has all sorts of compromised biochemistry as it relates to inflammation and methylation. Very, very important. Number three is iron levels. Okay, when iron levels are low, you'll have something known as anemia. And again, anemia is a deal breaker for anyone suffering with an autoimmune disease. For many people with thyroid disease, there's less stomach acid. Okay, and when there's less stomach acid, that means you're not going to absorb iron as well as you should. Another consideration for people that already perhaps maybe they know that they're anemic is that many times that anemia is rooted in something known as H. pylori. Okay, this is an infection that can change the stomach pH, and when you change the stomach pH, you essentially are affecting the uptake of many of these vitamins and minerals that we're talking about, such as selenium, copper, zinc, calcium, magnesium. Very, very important to the thyroid. So in some cases, it's not enough to just take these vitamins, but rather understand the cause of the deficiency and then go after that and correct that. Now, the next critical nutrient needed to jumpstart the thyroid is zinc, right? Now, if you are losing hair, which is very common in Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, you want to get your zinc levels up. Now, zinc is required for the synthesis of thyroid hormones. So without zinc, you really can't make thyroid hormones, okay? Next off, a deficiency of zinc can further exacerbate an already low thyroid state due to autoimmune Hashimoto's, okay? Zinc and your thyroid have an interesting relationship in that if you have low thyroid hormones, then you can't absorb zinc, and without zinc, you can't make thyroid hormones. So these two really need to go kind of hand in hand. Now, there are 5 points that I really want you to remember about today's video. Number one, Hashimoto's is an autoimmune disease, okay? It affects the thyroid, and so again, you need to focus not only on the thyroid, but you also need to focus more importantly on what's happening in the immune system, okay? What are the things that you can do to calm down the immune system, okay? And there's a video that I did titled 10 Steps to Naturally Reversing Your Thyroid Disease, okay? That's an incredibly invaluable video. It's a little bit longer than this video, of course, because it goes into so many of these different aspects. The second point that I want you to realize is from genetics, lifestyle, and environment are all contributing factors to Hashimoto's. But of those, identifying and eliminating your individual triggers will have a substantial impact on your condition and your future health. Next, I want you to realize that adding in vitamins and nutrients such as good, clean protein, okay, zinc, selenium, vitamin D, B vitamins, and iron are all very important. And lastly, I want you to think of your body as a bank account, okay? Everything you do is either a deposit or it's a withdrawal. And with that, it's important that you review your daily nutrition, that you eliminate inflammatory foods such as gluten and sugar and caffeine and any food that you might be sensitive to, and start making those deposits, okay? This body needs to last you, and by investing in your health, you are preventing future diseases down the road, all right? So that's going to wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Share it with your friends, share it with people that you care about. Check out some of the other videos that I've done for you about Hashimoto's and various other conditions related to thyroid problems. As a reminder, if you visit my website, you can download that free hidden sources of gluten that we talked about earlier in today's video. And sometimes for so many people, just eliminating the dietary ingestion of gluten isn't enough. You have to take it to the next level to really bring your level of health up. Okay, well, till next time, take care and God bless.